But what is the purpose of business? What would you say is the purpose of business? Somebody asks you, the young guys are late, but they're on the way, as you see in the thing. But like right out of college, somebody asks you what business is. What would you say it is? Okay. Again, this is just a warm up. There are no wrong answers, and you won't be on tape. A means of earning money is one thing you said. Okay. What else? Yeah, you can't earn money if you're not offering something else. It's a value exchange. At the very most basic. Anything else you'd put in there?
Gives you purpose.
Gives you purpose too. Everybody. In the equation. Purpose, meaning, and then exchange. Okay, I think those are good to get us warmed up. What is your current challenge in business? What do I do while there's not much happening?
Right. What do I do with not much happening?
Not much demand.
Right.
Especially if I've been more reactive over the years or more proactive, and certainly you've had a lunch 18 years ago that paid off 14 years ago. Right? It took 4 years, but it's happened, right? So you know there's a longevity to it, especially you've been in that business for 30 years, right? So there's that to it. What else is a current challenge in business? So what to do when there's not much to do, or certainly when people aren't knocking on my door like crazy. People aren't saying, I need it. It hadn't been long since they said they needed it. And then we had this little...
Does that ever happen, actually? I mean,
I called you a few times. What's another current challenge of business?
Focus. Focus.
To focus. And play that out one more step.
Today.
Especially in a market that is cycling, right? That's what he's saying too. Residential, commercial, real estate. We got real estate covered.
Yeah.
Those are some issues in there right now. What else is a current challenge in business? Your nonprofit's all easy?
No.
Now, what's the challenge in a nonprofit? Because it's still a business in a way.
Yeah.
Still an exchange of value for sure. A lot of people there for the right reason, and now are we staying after it? You're going to like this. You're going to like the rest of this. And you just a quick reminder, you're in IT, correct? Yeah? Meet Mike, he is too. But on the data side, but you want to see things finish, and so through your eyes, you're seeing it through the way you have it. All right, okay. What lies are you believing about your business? Since we're on Live No Lies. So even in that problem, in that current problem, what lie might surface about it? Or other lies you see around the office? Y'all did so great in the personal one, which was about people and value, right? Like people can't change, and then that we debunked that lie a couple of weeks ago, and that I don't like the way they are. Oh, wait a minute, I'm the same. I got the same problem. We do those things, but we think about business as a whole. What lies? It's who I am. I mean, like most of you, if some of you get asked, especially in an elevator, since you're going to work 45 hours, you get asked during the business hour, you almost for sure would. But if you got asked Saturday morning at the arcade downtown having breakfast, you'd probably tell them, who are you? Yeah. I'm Daryl, and I work at Strategic Financial Partners. That's probably what you'd do. So that's a big lie. It's not who you are. It's an easier way to ask, and it is what people are asking sometimes. So it is, I'm not saying don't ever answer that way again, because it's sometimes you're just kind of warming up to see if we're really going to have a conversation, right? But if I believe that's who I am, if the bad day at work makes me have a bad day at night, then I'm too close to it, right? If it defines me, if it says I'm not good, that's a lie. Any other lies? What about around the boardroom? Yeah. How do businesses measure their value?
Market cap.
Market cap, how else? Profitability, how else? How much profitability?
Compared to better peers.
Bam. That's it. That's the issue. How many nickels am I making? We're to talk about how Nike reformed themselves in a minute, but their mission at one point was to crush Adidas. I've got to win. And we had a lot of auto people yesterday downtown, and it really is. It's more keeping up with the green ones and the ones that basically trade off their name completely because you can't tell the difference in the colors when you pull up to the store, right? But how are we doing versus them? So it's a competitive world. Does it need to be? Is that how God designed it? So I think that's a big lie, that it must be doing better than somebody else. Even if you explain football to somebody, never seen it, and again, not that football, not Ted Lasso football, but we're talking about regular old American football, how would you describe it? You smash the competition. Well, at what, right? If you'd have to be at something first. And so we forget what that thing is about even before we get to competition. What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? What can anyone give in exchange for the soul? Many company missions are trying to conquer the world in a way. And when we look and we measure it, how far are we going? Have we gained this much? Have we gained enough? Have we gained more? It's a big treadmill, for sure. And it's toward the whole world. But Jesus says, don't do that. Mathematically, that's not even, we got some really good guys at math here. Mathematically, it's not a good equation. How long can you gain the whole world? You didn't think about that at least till you were 16. And you thought about it a little differently. We won't even go there, what you thought about you wanted to gain at 16. But then, somewhere in business, somewhere the economy of a first grader is a 100-yard dash. The economy of a fifth, sixth grader is the sports team. The economy of a high schooler is the opposite sex. And the economy of a 25-year-old is how well am I doing in business? And it stays that way for 20 and 30 years sometimes. But I've got to trade off nobody cares. Well, Mike can still run fast, but nobody cares about the 100-yard dash anymore. You don't line up in the parking lot with your friends anymore.
We can.
Huh?
We can, and I'll smoke all of those.
You're good. You won't. There's not that corner you won't. And I'm not talking about Andrew. I'm talking about the other guy. You won't.
He's got me in the mile.
I don't
know that I can run 100 yards. So.
But look how fast that passed away. That really isn't your argument anymore. It passes away. And so much more for business. It'll pass away. Quick Bible trivia before we get into this. Where's the first time business is mentioned in the Bible where a trade or a sale happens? Joseph? Genesis, true. Which was the first one? That's the definition of work, I think, for sure. To be fruitful and multiply, to subdue everything, to put everything under His lordship, to care for the earth. Absolutely. That's work. What good would it be to gain the whole world and forfeit your soul? Actually,
what's the answer?
That is a free biscuit because it's so close. But 4 chapters before that, there's an ideal transaction. Abraham's wife has died, and he wants to bury her, and he buys some land. For you real estate guys, it's the first thing in there, and he buys some land to bury Sarah. That's in Genesis 23. So you're validated. It's a legitimate business, okay? And then it's just a few verses later. What happens, Daryl?
Once when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau came in from the open country, famished. He said to Jacob, "Quick, let me have some of that red stew. I'm famished." Jacob replied, "First sell me your birthright." "Look, I'm about to die," Esau said. "What good is the birthright to me?" But Jacob said, "Swear to me first." So he swore an oath to him, selling his birthright to Jacob.
Okay. So Esau, we pity. He's about to die. Really? Who's needed something so bad they're about to die? I mean, this is worse than the payday loan business, if we think that's the most detestable business out there. Some people think that. I mean, there's some others. You could rank them. We don't have to go there. Just rank them in your head and we'll move on. But he's at, really, are you about to die? You're going to sell your right? That was a big deal. He's loved by his father. It's a big deal to give that away But really, let's focus on Jacob for a minute. So Jacob's name later becomes
Israel.
The father of all our faith. The 12 tribes of Israel all come from Jacob. Everything comes from there. And his first business transaction that's recorded is to take complete advantage of his brother. Completely manipulates him and sees his need as a chance for gain. That's not what business is about. But that's the first lie right there. So here's the pattern we've seen throughout Live No Lies, deceptive ideas. The devil says, this is an opportunity here. He's looking pretty weak. The first lie was that somehow I could have more. That somehow the Garden of Eden is perfect. The serpent creeps in and says, did God really say you can't? Did he really say that? And remember the pattern. Eve then says, well, he said, not only could I not touch it, he said we can't eat it, but he also said we can't touch it. So he makes God a little more unreasonable. Who does that sometimes? In my flesh. So that is absurd. And then for the rest of us, we have the pattern the whole world's doing it. Jacob by now had certainly seen somebody else take advantage of somebody else. So first it's a did God really say? Is that really right? And then it's my flesh would like that. Maybe God somehow is holding out on. Maybe I can have everything perfect and a little more and be a little more like God. Because she lacked nothing. Right? She lacked nothing. And then she said, but if there is more, I'll take it, no matter what he said. And then she was the last one that did have everybody doing it. And then everybody else has been doing, that's the way every other person does the transaction. Everybody else is going for cash, I'm going for cash too. That's the way it all plays out. Think of your last mistake. Is this not how it played out? Willard had a good diagram for us that our flesh or our mind or our heart takes control of our spirit. But all that's by a deceptive idea. Did God really say? And then we kind of like it. Man, I could be on top. That's what Jacob did. I could be on top. And all the rights will come to me. I'll definitely win. Today's business, I'll definitely beat the other guy down. I'm not sure why somebody has to lose, right, in business. But so that's the lie. It's not for losing. It's for flourishing. So I've got to beat him down, and then everybody else is doing it, so it's normalized. Any comments on this or questions as you look at it? Everybody see this is how the lie goes down? How we live it out?
Every day.
Every day. Yeah, I've done it for this morning somehow. I'm going to have to debrief to figure out where I did it right now. Think about Esau, so disordered. I gotta have it. I'd rather have a bowl of soup right now, this second, than a blessing, than to be the one to carry on my father's line, which is an unbelievable honor. So he did it, and then Jacob disorder said, he's at a weak point. Instead of serve my brother,
They're just giving it to him. Yeah.
I'll take advantage of it. And ironically, it's kind of a spiritual blessing, but he's going to steal to get it and lie and cheat. So it's a disordered desire because it's not really how I'm made. I'm going to regret it. He's going to regret it later. He does. He confesses it. It's not a model for life. Yeah. And then why can't I just have a little more? Why can't this be about me? All these other things. Why can't a little more? Maybe I need, most of us think we need about 30% more. At a certain level, at the very low end, that would be not true. And the very high end, that might not be true. But in the middle, 30% more things, this thing gets kind of smooth sailing. So that's where we are. So I need it. Okay, and it's definitely normalized. It's everywhere, certainly in business. Okay, Comer says this: the world is a system of ideas, values, morals, practices, and social norms that are integrated into the mainstream and eventually institutionalized in a culture corrupted by the twin sins of rebellion and against God and the redefinition of good and evil. Good is winning. Good is well, the company says we have to do it this way. That'd be another one. Like, wait a minute, I'm out of line. But This is, or everybody else is doing it, is a big reason we do what we do. And it's not normal, and some of it's completely not necessary. Here's what God says. Here's what Jesus says to his disciples in the upper room. Go ahead, Frank.
My prayer is not that you take them out of the world, but that you protect them from the evil one. They are not of the world, even as I am not of it. Sanctify them by the truth. Your word is truth. As you have sent me into the world, I have sent them into the world.
How's this help about the world? It's a system of ideas that's shaping us. The world forms us. Short for that quote, the world forms us. What is he saying here? What's true and then what's hopeful about this?
We shouldn't flee from society.
Don't flee is the truth. Don't just go. There are some people in Kansas getting together, just removing themselves from it all. I'm not sure that's missional. It might be. So I don't know their names. I can say it. So don't just remove yourself. What else is hopeful? Yeah, good. So good, right? And in this, he prays at the beginning of this, like, not just these, but those that will learn about me through them. So we're covered here. You're exactly right. This is about us. That's encouraging. And then that we're not from here. Who's ever been in a meeting and is like, what are we talking about? I feel like I'm not even from here. That might be the Holy Spirit saying you're not from here. This what we're talking about is craziness. I've been in a boardroom talking about, we just want to dominate. What does that mean, I would say, back? A respectful institution saying, we just want to dominate. Well, I just got convinced I'm not supposed to be here anymore. I'm not from here. And I wasn't even that, I'm not saying I'm not holy about it. I'm just like, these guys just want to play the game way different than I do. So I'm not from here is a good thought, but as Frank said, I'm sent into it. I'm sent in to bless it. Let's read a little deeper, Andrew.
Do not love the world or anything in the world. If anyone loves the world, love for the Father is not in them. For everyone in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life comes not from the Father, but from the world. The world and its desires pass away, but whoever does the will of God lives forever.
All right. What's a truth and something encouraging here? There's our mathematical equation. There's life and following in what God's saying. The pride of life is so defined as who we are. Wait a minute, this is defining me. No, it doesn't. That's temporary. It doesn't define you. You're a child of God, destined to be His before the world began, before this thing called the world began. So when I'm going after something, I gotta have anything I gotta have that's not Jesus is temporary. Even air, okay? But physically, I'm not saying you don't need air and you shouldn't try to get it. But even anything that's not Him that I gotta have, because that would, even air, take the most basic thing, which I'm suggesting, even if you fall short of air, get some today. But if I think I gotta have it, I am missing out on where I'm missing. It's temporary. Wait a minute, Jesus, are you calling me home right now? Might I get to meet your face in 15 minutes? Wow, how much better? What about the wife? What about the child? That would come in my mind. That'd be a natural thought. That's okay. I might get to meet you. Will you take care of them? Of course He will. Of course He will. And again, but how much more in business? So I'm taking time to really, really more serious and applying how much more you're going to get to meet Him. You're going to move forward. Read this verse, Mike.
Since then, you have been raised with Christ. Set your hearts on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things.
Okay, so the right thing, I've got to set my mind on Him. I can get up. How often can I do that a day? That's a closed-in question. It's a bad question. How often can I set my mind on the things of God today?
More than once.
More than once. Good answer. More than once. Not just in the morning. That's good. That's all we need. All day. And especially when I'm in tension. Who's in tension at some point of work almost every day? Like, I'm not sure what to do here. Could be serious tension, but it could just be not sure what to do. I don't know how to serve this person. I got 5 things to do. I'm not sure in a down market how to go serve customers. I'm not sure. That's a tension. Set my mind on the things above and see what I believe. God, will you have this? What is the way forward? What does your word even say about this? These words says something about everything. It says, don't worry about today. Tomorrow has enough trouble of its own. What are some other things God says that inform business? So one, I want to get aligned with Him in my tension, or even in my glory. This is so exciting. Can't believe this deal's going down. Now, what does God say about it? Or this is really stressful. Or either one. What are some things God's Word says to inform business? He says it all boils down to that, doesn't He? He says it all boils down to loving others. So business can't be about taking advantage. Jacob must have had it wrong. So the output, the end is to him. It's just a means, but it's a means of loving your neighbor. We're going to see. Our memory verse plays right in. Imagine that. So, plays right there. What else? Anything else?
I don't know why.
It helps both sides of the equation. Right. It helps when I'm trying to gather it up and make it mine, which we can do in Nichols. Like, this is mine, I got to beat him. It also helps when there's not enough to do. I don't know what he's doing here. Seems like we could get after it a little harder. Seems like we're not being faithful enough, not showing enough tenacity in getting this done. But he's doing something in each of these lives. And I can do something to love them. I can do something to spur it along in gentleness and what is love toward them. But also, I don't have to go home and worry too much about it. I can say, God, what's faithful when everybody else is not being tenacious? And I can say, what's faithful when everybody else is being greedy? Own it. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. That's the part, whoever said Genesis 1:26, the star is right. It's all His. It's our job to subdue it, to co-create with Him, to be partners in it, to steward what we have well, but it's still His. None of this is mine. Not the computer, not even the right to talk to y'all. It's not mine. Right? It's not my initiative. And this one summarizes it, right? For from Him, and through Him, and for Him are all things. To Him be the glory forever. Why is this thing in front of me? Why is this difficulty in front of me? It's from Him. What's the power to get through this one? Through Him. And what's the purpose for it? Why does it even exist? For the glory of Him. So that means that all business is to glorify Him, working backwards. The way we're going to do it is the way He does things. And the assets that came, or the means, even the means, are from Him to do it. And so it's a gift. Just like my life is a gift, we like to do this to people, but every situation, every good thing, everything is from Him.
For the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. If you bite and devour each other, watch out, or you will be destroyed by each other.
Okay. So Mike wins. He had an exact verse. He quoted it. It was our memory verse. Business is to love your neighbor. Ministry is clearly to love your neighbor. We even claim it there. But nonprofits, to love your neighbor, profits, to love your neighbor, and even just the means of setting one up, a not-profit or a nonprofit, is just a means for which is the best way to love your neighbor. As your brother can tell you, there are Blue Cross Blue Shields, insurance companies that are profit-based, and those that are non-profit-based. They both do the same thing. So it's not the structure of the business that matters. It's not the way we raise the funds to do it. But it's to love your neighbor. Now, which one of these two sentences sounds more like today's business? If you bite and devour each other, watch out, you'll be destroyed by each other. But the purpose of business is to fulfill the command. So if I get everything else, wait, does this, what I'm about to do, glorify God, and does it love my neighbor? It all really comes down to that. And Jesus says that over and over again, and Paul's just wrapping it all up. What's the way in this downtime to love your neighbor? Some of these guys would love a call. Some of them are just as bored as me. Maybe I can get some inter-industry stuff going, and we can talk it out. Maybe I'll just go see the client who I hadn't seen in the longest, who I'm grateful for. What's love? What does somebody else need? And in that, I'll find my purpose. I'll sleep more meaningful tonight by moving toward that purpose. Here's what Dallas Willard said: that business, first of all, he says it's from God. Let's quit thinking business itself is wrong. It's definitely not. It's right. It's a fundamental means of loving your neighbor. He says a fundamental structure of love in the kingdom of God. So just as the soldier is to defend, the preacher is to inspire to God's word, the teacher is to inform. We could go to all these other professions, the lawyer to clarify, but the businessman to provide means for people. It's a fundamental structure of love in the kingdom of God. It's what it's for. It's set up. He ordains it. He created it. A system of interchange. It's there from the beginning. The order of the way we do things is backwards. And we're going to prove that for a second. But it's mission that meets needs. What is the purpose of the business? The purpose of the business is to love your neighbor and to see them flourish. There's a fancy word we use these days. To see human flourishing. Is this going to help somebody flourish? Mission meets needs. Means, like nickels, work for the mission. But yeah, we talk about how's the business doing. What's somebody going to say? What's the answer to that normally? How's the business doing?
Great.
Great. Now, tell me how it's doing. Up in what?
Revenue, profit.
Up in human flourishing? Up in meeting the needs of people? Yeah. Means. Now, means are easy to count. We'll get to how we got to this problem. And again, we'll cover it a different way in a minute. And then measure mission, not just means. We have to measure the means, especially a publicly traded company, because one transaction we did as a publicly traded company is we went to the markets and we said, we'd like some capital. And they invested in it so that they have a return on their capital. So a quarterly earnings call for Wall Street is a way of reporting on how their investment's doing, their talent is doing, to say it that way. But the reason you went to them is because you said you wanted to do more good in the world. We want to serve more people to help create better spaces, better places. So the mission needs to be measured, and really more importantly, not just the means. Okay? And here's what a good diagram of a business looks like. You'll see it familiar to the one we have about the job, but this is just corporately. First, it must serve the needs of the world, or it's not really a business. It's a mission opportunity. And again, you could say the needs people don't need, like Esau did not need the stew that he sold everything for. But it was a need he said he wanted, at the very least. But a mission opportunity comes from the needs from all stakeholders. Not just one of the lies that we had earlier this year where the attorney was in here, a seasoned attorney, and said, well, I really want to help this other guy. He seems like he has a real issue. He can't afford our law firm. And if I take time off to do it, which is, I'm senior, I can do whatever I want to do basically, it's going to cost me something. And not only is it just going to cost me the nickels, but it's going to cost me in the formula, which is called RPL, revenue per lawyer. And that's how bonuses are paid out. So it's going to really cost me twice. It's going to cost you to serve somebody? Who's that sound like? It cost him something to serve us. It's going to cost. The equation's wrong. The margin, there's nowhere in there to make more. I'm going to prove that point in a minute. But it does have to balance out. It does have to be a trade-off. Hopefully it's a fair trade-off of value. But so the needs of the world, and then they're not, all sorts of problems are in that equation, by the way, because it's to serve clients, we'll serve more of them, are they happy? And then it's to get more for less. There's an internal initiative that we want to do more with what we have. And so people are being asked to work harder and harder. So are the employees still flourishing? Because it would be all stakeholders, flourishing for everybody. Flourishing for the employees, flourishing for the people you're serving, and flourishing for the investors or the suppliers and everybody else. Is what I'm doing create flourishing for everyone? And then I'm putting, and again, a lot of us thought of the gift strength first. I love real estate. I love helping people find spaces. I love working on these things. I love seeing the potential or possibility. I love helping somebody see what their assets are and how they can be used to help them throughout their life in financial planning. I help So I might think of it as gift, strength. What do I have to offer? But it is what I have to offer to flourish. And then means and resources are just stuff to utilize. They're just things to utilize. They're necessary to keep it going, no doubt. But that's what a business is. Does that make sense? Any questions on this itself? And here's one more thing Willard says. God gives us a point of reference for determining what is good for people independently of what they want. If you look at it historically, you will see that the aim of business is to make provision for the needs of people in an area. To make provision for them. Help them out. Who has had a client who says they want one thing but needs another? Especially in real estate. It's true in digital marketing. It's true in investments. It's true in about every single way. I want this, and then we had a rule at Wonderman. We're like, let's give the client what they ask, and let's show them what they really need. Every time, let's just show them the two options. So, they're a three-option kind of client. We'll show them three things, and they believe they picked the genius, and then they know they decided. So, but that's a gift. It's a gift to see what they really need. If we're just, I had a boss that called it copper tubing. If you're just doing what everybody wants, you might as well not even be there, right? You're just a conduit. But if you're saying, I hear you, I understand you, and in fact, but here's what that looks like, what you're asking for, but look at this. Aren't you going to grow? Isn't the company one day going to grow? If you just build for today, you think you're not going to grow the next 3 years? It might be time to lock it in, to go ahead and get 20% growth space. So you do that all the time. Huh?
Music to my ears.
Yes, that's right. But that's what you're good at. Isn't that fun? I mean, that's the joy of deploying your gift, your ability to see what they need. That's what you're saying about the office right now. Like, I just think they'd flourish more if we'd all get after it and move toward it. That's a gift that you're seeing it. Mission statements are out there, and we don't have enough time to cover them. So we'll cover the irony of them at the same time. But Facebook's is to give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together. They build community, and there's been a great study on it. They build community of people like yourselves, and you become more and more like yourselves. And they go right to Romans 1:21 to 28 on that. Because no matter what part of that you're on, you're just becoming more and more like yourself, feeding yourself, right? And Starbucks sounds just the same. With every cup, with every conversation, with every community, we nurture the limitless possibilities of human connection. Greg, if you need to feel connected, all you need to do is go to the Starbucks out front. It's going to work perfectly. That's all you need. Just take that cup of coffee free and go sit there, and you'll be connected.
In the Chick-fil-A cup, you think?
I think it's fine. You say, I come here all the time. I want to be part of the community. It doesn't say to only let them in if they buy. It doesn't say that. So I can just go. Now, before we pick on them too bad, it's good to set this stuff out there. Like, how can we, unless we claim it and declare it, it's hard to even measure to ourselves. The issue is, do they really measure this first? Flip through their annual reports, and how much is it measuring how they brought the world together? And this first one here has all the data in the world to know. In fact, the reason they had a whistleblower is because a whistleblower went to this mission and said, we're not doing this. In fact, I know from the data and the data we're suppressing, the data we're using, that we're doing the opposite. And so she went to Congress, I believe it was a female, and said we're not really doing this. So declaring it helps the whole place know what to do in absence of not knowing what to do. So declaring a mission is good. And again, it's not us to really judge the missions. I will say that Koch's, as Carter pointed out, it says to glorify God throughout it. And we'll say how they pay that off in a minute. So to say it is important, and by the way, Nike's was to crush people they've reformed, was to crush Adidas, and now it's to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. That's a reformed mission. We're going to look up that today and see what the genesis of that was and see why they changed it. All right, your company mission statement. Give me a couple. You need one. Okay? Then you need one within it. Okay? We're part of a 360,000 person organization, and we have to support that mission. Like if I'm at Chick-fil-A, I can't really decide what's evil in the world is milkshakes and biscuits, and then say, you don't need another one. I can't do that. If I have a problem with that, I have to maybe work somewhere else. But within that, I can figure out how I love people in that. And so the same thing, I can have a submission that is consistent with the things of God, and then I have to decide, does it totally line up with the big mission or not? Most of our cases, it will. Most of our companies or some of them are so big that it's just the world anyway. And so I can love it like I'd love the world. So know your mission statement. Know how you're helping people flourish within your company and how the company is in total. And that's where a good place to challenge your leader. Or if you're thinking about starting something new, I got to start with how is this going to benefit the world? And here, profit is like oxygen, food, water, and blood for the body. They're not the point of life, but without them, there's no life. So it's not saying, I read this wrong 3 times. It's not saying there's no life without profit. It's saying just the opposite. It's saying that blood and oxygen and water are not the point of life. Can you imagine going, I just need some more blood today? I mean, if you really need it and you need a transfusion, that's something. And you're really thirsty, you need it. Or you can't keep going. You can't keep living there, so you can't love your wife. You can't do anything if you don't have enough water, blood, and oxygen. But can you imagine going, I just need more? Even in running, there may be a place maybe you put a little more blood in or a little more oxygen in that blood to move faster. That's actually true in athletics. But to a point it would do no more good, right? So this more profit is like saying more oxygen. At some point, it's not good for you. It's a means. The business does need it in our fundamental economy, but it's not the thing you're going after, and it's not the right thing to measure. It's the right thing to report on if you own an investment, but it's not the right thing to measure. No one can serve 2 masters. Either you hate one and love the other, or you'll be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. That's our biggest lie at work. We really think we can. We really think we can serve them both. And God is saying, it's all mine. As Daryl said, cattle on 1,000 hills. It's all mine. Everything, your breath, your life, your body, your ability to think, your ability to be creative, every single asset, it's all mine. Put it to the use of your neighbor. That's what he's saying. Start at home, sure. Start in vow order. But it's put it to the reason you're going to the office or to the work is to bless your neighbor. Not to gain more nickels from them, not to get an advantage from them, not to beat them. Here's truth about it. It is fungible. You can turn it into what you want. Nickels. So you can say, basically the stew for the birthright, that was a fungible transaction of money in a way. But certainly now that we have nickels, it's countable, you know how much you have. And I think this is where we got lazy. It's easier to count how many nickels we're doing to keep score than it is the other. But Nick Saban on football, he cares about how you follow the process. How are we getting better? Not just how much we beat, some directional school by. So you just count it. Storable, you can store it. You've got a fundamental decision every day. Say, is this the right deployment? Is this the right timing of the deployment? Well, for some, it's not the right time to invest. For others, it might be the right time to invest. They have a decision. So these are you have these decisions with money every day, and they are important for business, but they're not the point of your business. Keep it in these categories. Really only these categories. Not my worth. Not am I beating the other guy. Not how much can I store up. It can be stored, but it's not the end. Is it the end? You can everybody can unpeel their own onion a little bit, say, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And I can get to ego, I can get to pride, or I can get to nickels, I can get to these things when I'm doing it. And then how are you using your means to propel your mission? That's what you ask. Are these means helping? What kind of structure is this company? We went to the public markets, so I do have to continue to report to them. Are the means working the best? Business is a means of loving neighbor. Nickels are a means of moving the business forward to love the neighbor. It's supportive of the other. So am I putting means to get, my time is my most important means. But right after that, nickels are the way things are done. Okay, then measure it. Fred Smith did a good job here. That information about the package is more important than the package itself. We do need to measure these things. Their mission, FedEx was on spot here. They're saying we're going to measure when we say absolutely positively overnight, and that's our mission, or at least it's our slogan, we're going to measure how well we're doing in that. Because is it flourishing to get something to somebody the next morning? Could they flourish from that? They can. It's good stuff. Whole entity built on it. So we're going to measure how well we're doing, and that's what we're going to care about, because tracking the package really. So track it. And so Facebook did that, and they can see, for instance, to give people the power to build community and bring the world together. Well, we know, we've said we know where maybe that doesn't happen. They said, well, there's a brother in Austin, and Nathan from Lake Jackson, and they grabbed their boat to save somebody who was drowning from warning water. It's 20 people. So that's anecdotal. Did that bring the world together, or is that just a good use of the means? It's just a good use of the means. How well, though, they have the data, I'd say, to really know exactly how well they're putting the world together. Are communities coming together? Are they thriving? You can data scrape all that, and you can really know. Now, this is anecdotal stuff that's good, and that's what's mostly in these annual reports, but the means are all over it. How much growth, how much. And sometimes somebody pointed out our churches are the same way. Starbucks, with every cup, with every conversation, with every community, we nurture the limitless possibilities for human connection. And then they say they've given 13 million pounds of food in the U.S. and diverted from waste streams and donated to hunger relief organizations, which is the equivalent of 11 million meals. That sounds really good. But how did that bring the community together? It's community reinvestment. It's good. It's not. It is. It's charity. All good things, but there's a way to do that. If I'm really about bringing a community together, our employees went and brought the community together this way, and we met people, and then we had these things at the stores, and then we have community centers that disperse this, and people can sign up to give away meals. Yeah, I'm not telling them how to run their business. I'm just saying, even this amazing thing of feeding 11 million people is great, but it's charity. Is it toward the mission? In this case, it's not. Coke, as Carter pointed out, they have a nice broad mission statement, so more stuff fits under it. Refresh the world, make a difference. And this is a little more than anecdotal here, though. Coca-Cola was honored with the designation of the official soft drink of Memphis. To celebrate, Coke teamed up with John Morant to unveil more than a dozen refurbished basketball courts throughout the city. So the city made a business transaction. We'll make you an official Coke. Hey, you refurbish some of these courts and people can play on them. But that goes straight with their mission. We're refurbishing the world. We're making it new. It goes along with it. All right, what's your company mission and what are your measurements? That's the takeaway from here for everybody. What's really the mission? Well, we already summarized it. Is it loving neighbors? Is it helping them flourish? And then literally, how am I doing it? And just do it at the most micro level you need to. If right now you're focused on how to help the rest of the office, do it right there. Your focus can be there. If your focus is on helping clients, just focus it right there. If you're thinking about starting a whole new business, as a couple of you are, and moving forward, then how is it going to flourish, and what might I track to know that I'm really helping flourishing? It could be in some means way, but even if it's helping save nickels, like one of yours would be, then how else is it helping them flourish? How is it helping them know? Because we don't want to get them any focused on means than we are. Do you have permission for 4 minutes? Am I going to go? Okay. Here, Piper has this recently in what it means to serve God. Okay, it's really helpful. And that means that every effort expended in the service of God, the right service of God, is from God. It's a God-given effort. That's what must absolutely sink into our souls. That every moment is given to us from God to serve God, and we do it by serving our neighbor. Now, he goes on to talk about how we think about money. So here's the verse. No one can serve two masters. Either you hate one and love the other, or you'll be devoted to one and despise the other. You can't serve God and money. But so now think for a minute how you think about money. The last time you thought about it as a family entity or a business, the last time you were thinking about money, think about the things that were involved. It's when you either thought you had less than you were going to have or you thought you were about to get some more. Let's go to the more for a minute. Only go to the more. Is that more fun? Last time you knew you were into more money than you thought, what went through your mind? Just get it in your own head. You don't have to say it. But just get it in your own head. Just dropped 100 more whatever units are meaningful to you on you. Now, what do you think about? Was it not this? So the question is, how do you serve money? You serve money by calculating your plans, your efforts to benefit from what money promises you. Oh, I got 100 more of these. Here's what I can do. I can do this more of this. I can do this more of that. We can do this. This school may be an option. This vacation may be an option. Here's the way we can reorder things. You calculate your whole life to benefit from what money promises you. Your life revolves around trying to put yourself in the position of the greatest benefit from money. Who can confess that? Let's get under the water flow of it, and let's just circulate it around. In that, instead, I'm not trying to go backwards here, but I'm down there in the left corner with it. I got more means. What can I do with it? And so it's driving it. Now, if it drives the mission, that's good. If you got a good personal mission statement. So then he says this. That's what it means to serve God. So think about how you put yourself under money, and now think about that with God. You serve God by calculating all your plans and all your efforts to benefit from all that God promises to be for you. What does He promise to be for you? Everything. He promises everything. Your life now revolves around trying to put yourself under the waterfall of God's blessing. How can I get more of God today? How can I get more of Jesus? Position yourself to the greatest benefit God has to give, namely Himself. Jesus says, Mike is mine. Greg is mine. Robert is mine. Daryl is mine. He's mine. And when you know you're His, you lack nothing. And so this business is all a means of flourishing others. It's to glorify Him, but it's by serving others. And when I do that, I know I'm His. I actually get more benefit. That's why He says in the upper room, also He says, as the Father loves me, as the Father loves His Son Jesus, so He loves you. That's how much you're loved, Robert. As the Father loves me, so I love you. Now remain in my love by keeping my commands. Go and use your business to serve others. Go and bless them, and you're going to now know even better. It's not performance. It's not gratitude. You can't pay Him off. You'll never get there. You can't earn it. You can't get even. You can't even say, I'm just so thankful I'm going to do these 18 things. No, I'm actually going to be the way I'm made. I'm going to be, He's covered me. He's got me. Now I can use today to flourish. And guess what I get? The most important thing I get is more Jesus. I know Him better. The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. Nothing. Holy Father, You're so good to us. And we come to rest in You. You call us to rest. Your yoke is easy and Your burden is light. And when we can know that we're Yours, when that's the prevailing truth in our mind, that we're Yours and You're determined to get us to our destiny, using our mistakes, using our best efforts, using everything, evil in the world, good in the world, You're using it all to get us to our destiny. Therefore, we lack nothing. Because even the minute we lack air, we get to see You face to face. What a day that will be. What a moment that will be. Lord, help us to just know we're Yours as we go out here today. Encourage us that, and help us to turn and trust You to love the other people You love. That the benefit, the value exchange first is that we'll know You better, and so will they. We pray in Your name, Jesus. Amen.